and welcome to Show and Sell, the show that celebrates digging through other people's trash. Hello, everyone, and I'm Chris, Trash Dragon of the West. This is my guitar, Mr. Blankenship. Oh, thanks, Mr. Blankenship. I guess I sell media on Discogs and eBay, along with a couple other things. And my current musical obsession is Brazilian music. Katie, would you answer the same questions?
Oh, I'm Katie. I'm Trash Dragon of the South, and I sell mainly clothing and accessories, but I hunt for everything special, sparkly, and interesting to my brain. My current musical obsession is probably too embarrassing to talk about. Can I decline to state?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm going to see if it's unanimous. Joe has to vote.
You can decline, but off mic you have to admit.
Okay, fair enough.
Off mic, I have to admit. Let's just say I've gotten, I get stuck on certain things, and I've gotten real into reaction videos on YouTube lately, and that is a dark hole, and you can't climb out of it, because once you're in it, you have to watch everyone's reaction to the song that you like and make sure that they have the same reaction to the part of the song that you find the most impactful. It takes hours of time. It's a time suck. And it's just really fun, but it's terrible. Terrible for the psyche. Joe, who are you? Where are you?
My name is Joe. I'm the Trash Dragon of the East, and I will buy lots of anything. I'm currently looking at a stack of 3 typewriter ribbons. They've just been sitting in the cabinet. I haven't listed them yet. They're going to go up anytime soon. And I once bought 19 boxes of. They were sort of like these padded tote bags. That wound up being like they were 18 inch by 18 inch by 18 inch boxes. And they were something like 950 of these bags. And I was like, I'll just have them embroidered. And they're like, we can't embroider these. They have pockets in them. And so I just was, I'm still sitting on probably like 100 to 150 of these, even after giving away the vast majority.
Wait, there's no way to embroider? Can you silk screen on them?
You probably could, but they're sort of a synthetic. They're like a nylon, so the silk screening would not really, it would not cling very well.
Wow. What are they for? Are they for food carrying?
They were, I don't know if I can probably say the brand. They were branded, there was a little lenticular on there. It was like The Rock. And it was supposed to be a basketball bag. But the problem is, because it was sort of like almost like a teardrop shaped bag.
Okay.
But the problem is, like, it would have held a basketball if you would make the opening large enough to accommodate putting the basketball in there, but it wasn't.
So this was a prototype mistake from the jump.
It was just, It was just It was not a very well thought through project or product.
That is crazy. Why don't we move right ahead to the item that brought us joy this week?
That brought you joy.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
I'll go first. I'll just keep on talking about the item that brought me joy this week.
Yeah.
This week it wasn't a picked item or a thrifted item. It was a freebie that I got from somebody that was very, he gets a lot of things through, and every once in a while he gets something that he can't sell or whatever. So he's just like, are you going to throw it away or see if Joe wants it? And so I got this thing. It is
Ooh.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a frame, or not a frame, it's like a screen. So it like opens up. I'll send a picture of it so you can see it better.
Yeah.
And it's like wood carved,
Oh, wow.
top. And the reason he couldn't use it is because the paintings that were in it broken, has ripped, as you can see. So, there's this, and yeah.
Oh, that Van Gogh will never see the light of day.
Someone's hard work.
Yeah.
worse. So
You should just make that as part of your haunted house, so you can just stick your head and be like, "Wah!"
I'm the ghost of the flower painting. I'm the ghost.
I'm
Look
the
out!
The waterline.
also Frankenstein.
Sure, a little wolf man in there too, and about 18% invisible man. I'm not transparent. I'm a little translucent. If you look at me through the light, if the light is bright enough.
I'm just
Speaking of which, you have a light beam coming down from your ceiling. I don't know if
yes.
you have a skylight or what's going on in there, but you do have one ray of like.
I actually like it. Feels like he's chosen. Yeah, he's
It
being
does
chosen.
feel like you're the chosen.
Yeah. If you get raptured during this YouTube video, I will give you
So
some.
we're gonna go viral.
Yeah.
I'll fix that. Hang on a second.
Video.
Wait.
No, it's fine. It's still there. Nope. Okay, there you go. Nope.
Oh,
no.
Rapture over. Yeah, why? This is why you don't point things out to Joe. He can't help himself.
I get very self-conscious.
Katie, would you like to show the item that brought you joy?
Yes, I did not go shopping this week at all, which is startling because it was Black Friday. So I did not do a thing because I had COVID. Yay! And so I picked something older that I've been staring at and trying to figure out where to put them, and maybe you all can help me. They're these dragon shelves.
Oh, wow.
Really appropriate for this show.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, sorry, they're not dragons. They're lions. They're lion dragons. They look. I thought they were dragons when I got them.
Oh, wow! Are those like? Are they?
Is that the base on the top? Oh no, that would go on the wall.
Yeah, so it hangs
Oh my!
I don't know. I don't think these are that old. If they're a reproduction of something, but I just think they're so cool.
That is so amazing.
They're heavier than you think. You know how sometimes those incredibly sort of filigree fancy frames are plastic, and so they're really light, and so you pick them up. They're generally on mirrors and things like that. I'm always kind of delighted when I find those. I have a lot of old heavy mirrors, and so the light ones, I'm like, because nobody knows it's plastic. No one's going up to touch it.
Yeah,
this is not that. Is my point.
Right.
And so I have two of these guys, and so they're going. And I got them at a consignment shop in Kentucky.
That's a lot of look.
Nowhere.
Like, are you going to keep that, or are you selling those?
This I'm keeping for sure, because I'll never find it again.
Yeah.
And generally things like that, I don't know. But then it's also hard because if I can't find a place to put it, I should probably sell it to someone who would love it, right?
Joe and I should make ourselves like little toy versions of ourselves, so you can kind of put them on those mantles.
Could you do that? Could someone who's crafty do little knit characters? Knitted would be the best, like little wool. Chris and Joe.
Arrowhead Canton, looking at you.
Build-A-Bear also, if you want to do that. Build-A-Bear wants to do bear versions of us. I'm fine.
Although I don't know about that Build-A-Bear. I don't know much about them. I don't know.
I don't know how custom they can go, and they can't verify this.
What was your item of joy, Chris?
My item of joy. So a friend of mine gave me like 4 boxes of records that I sometimes, like a lot of times I'll sell stuff for other people and I'll just do a split. There's only a couple things that I'm probably going to buy off of him. And this was the one that kind of made me like gasp a little bit because I've been looking for this record. Like this is Selda. She's a Turkish psychedelic musician from the 70s.
Whoa.
The song that I'm kind of obsessed with is one called Inse Inse, if I'm pronouncing that right. And it's just, she's very political. She's very, like, it's kind of a, very rocking psychedelic rock album. And she's apparently been arrested a number of times for being outspoken politically, and has lost her passport, which is, like like I said, my favorite music obsession is Brazilian music, and 2 of the guys from the genre, Tropicalia is a genre I kind of focus on in Brazilian music, and 2 of the main lights of that, Caetano Veloso and oh jeez, I can't remember the other guy's name off the top of my head. They were thrown out of Brazil and had to record in London for years before they were
Jorge
let
Ben?
back in. No, it wasn't Jorge. Like Jorge Ben
Soy
was actually.
George?
No, he's too young. It's the guy like
Why do you know so much about Brazilian music? How do both of you know so much about Brazilian music?
I
we just
know the bare minimum in order to. I know a little bit about a lot of things.
There we go.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
I
figured
need
that.
to. But why aren't you obsessed with the Turkish music, the Turkish
I
psychedelic rock?
I am like it's just a I like it a lot, but it's such a like and I got into it because of my friend John Ward, who does excavated shellac on Instagram and has released 2 Grammy nominated albums of 78 from around the world. He gifted me these. These are 2 compilations of Turkish music that he self released with uh, like liner notes and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember
yeah.
he was collecting like Turkish 45s,
45s,
which is
yeah.
like kind of
He
a
played-
like from the 1970s, but it was all they were kind of a rarity because there was some sort of shortage, and so they were like recycling and like melting down a whole lot of them. So
Yeah, I like Turkish music, but it's like one of those genres where it's just like sometimes it's hard to figure out like how to get into things. Like you like compilations are a good way, but like this is one of the albums that is considered like a classic, and it got reissued recently. And I was thinking about trying to pick it up, and it just kind of fell in my. I'm like, all right, great. And it's also on pretty pink vinyl.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Super cool. I love
but I will put Insay on in the show notes, even though I say that every week, and I almost never put stuff. I say I will in the show notes. I will try. I'm sorry.
We need an intern.
I need an intern. Now we are going to go into our next segment, which we have recently decided to call Unearthed Treasure.
Ooh.
Ooh. So this time new song. So this time, crap! I gotta write a new song. And,
Get on it.
so this time I asked everyone to bring in something a little scary, a little occult, a little witchy, and I'm going to throw to you, Katie, unless you're too afraid.
Oh, not yet. Okay. So, my mom lived with me for quite a while until about last year when she moved into her own apartment, but which was fine. It was a fine situation, except my mom's taste in art is questionable.
Okay.
The art that she would purchase for her space in the house, because my mom collects dolls. She's one
Right.
of those.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that in the past.
Yeah. She also collects pictures of dolls.
Okay.
pictures of dolls.
Or like little children that look like dolls.
Oh.
Which are just unnerving in and of themselves, especially if they're Victorian children. It just, they feel not right.
Yeah.
So then there was a day that she brought home this beautiful thing that a lot of these Victorian children happen to look like my niece.
Right.
And so she thinks that every child in a picture looks like her granddaughter. And so this was one she brought home and she says, well, doesn't this look exactly like Emmeline? It doesn't. But the first thing I noticed about this picture that I'm about to show you, and I'll send you both the pictures right now. Let's see if you notice what I notice.
Oh my god! Oh
no,
no!
Her face.
Incorrect.
Yeah, it should be covered by the netting. You shouldn't be able to see her face that clearly.
Her face. No. She's looking the wrong direction. So she's staring at the viewer that's looking at the picture, but the face in the mirror is not the same face as the girl. It's the demon version of the girl or something, because she's not looking the perspective is completely wrong.
Oh, wow.
Also, this child appears to be in what is looking like a wedding dress.
Yeah. A veil. Yeah.
The name of the picture is The Bridesmaid. I have assumed that this picture is haunted because that child ain't right.
That child is
Well,
I
it's
mean,
like if it's meant to be kind of spooky, it's brilliant because it's got a lot of weird things to it that are unnerving on a base physical level. Just the fact that she's not looking the right way. If you see that in the horror movie and you're looking in the mirror and the mirror image does something different than what you're doing, that's a scary moment in a movie.
100%.
Yeah,
I don't think it is meant to be scary based on my mom's reaction, which is, it's beautiful, right? So
Oh,
I
to
don't think it is. I think I'm concerned about it. So the other thing that I'm concerned about is I'm a little nervous about it. So it's why I haven't used the frame yet, because it's a beautiful frame. The frame is really, really nice and
that's
heavy.
going to unleash the power
I
with it
am
trapped
concerned
within.
about opening the back of the picture. I'm going to be
Mm,
honest.
right.
So just
That's
leaving
feels like
it
a good place to
alone.
hide money.
It is a great, yeah, maybe. Okay, she's
I
looking at me, so I'm going to move her.
yes.
I'm sorry. In their memoir, Genesis Peorage, the singer for Throbbing Gristle and Psychic TV, had purchased an Osman Spare painting at an occult shop in London, and apparently he usually kept it hung like facing the wall because it was like just too dark, and it was letting they claimed it was letting all kinds of like stuff into the house.
Right.
Eventually sold it to one of the members of Blondie.
Was it
uh
Clem Burke,
it was
the
Clem
drummer?
Burke, yeah.
Yeah, he seems like the most kind of gothy guy in that band. Like he always would wear. Like I met him, and he's got a little bit of a dark side.
Well, the
Um, go.
Gary Valentine, aka Gary Lockman, is an occultist
Hmm.
scholar. He
Ah,
was in the band like for the first album, and then like I think he got kicked out
for being too
um,
occult.
for being too spooky.
Yeah.
Too much Satan. I
Too
understand.
much. Not enough Satan for Blondie. So my thing that I will um, bring up is I got a bunch of books, occult books, a couple like maybe late last year. I think Joe, I sent you a bunch of them,
Mm-hmm.
and because he loves the occult and loves selling them. But this is one I kept. It's the Akashic Who's Who of psychics, mediums, healers, and more. And it's basically just kind of like a guide to the best, like what 100. Let me see. No, they don't have a number chart. But yeah, there's just a bunch. There is a psychic medium, a medical intuitive, a remote viewer consultant, um, and the intuitive psychiatrist. I was kind of like flipping around to see if I could find anything, and this passage struck me. Dr. Orloff, Dr. Judith Orloff, who is a intuitive psychiatrist. Dr. Orloff is accomplishing for psychiatry what physicians like Dean Ornish and Mehmet Oz have done for mainstream medicine.
What's an intuitive, so they can just be like, I get the feeling you need this medication. That's just what
Yeah.
that's like, but like maybe I'm very little talking. It's not a lot. You don't have to fill out a questionnaire or anything. There's
Yeah.
no.
But the other thing I thought was interesting was just the term Akashic means. Do you guys know? I feel like Joe
I
might know.
used to, but I can't remember. There's
It's
the
kind of like
continuity. That's basically it's dealing with oh shoot, the Madame Blavatsky and the sort of spiritualist movement of the 19th century, and the Akashic. There's like the Akashic. Is it the secret masters? Am I
no. It's
onto
basically
something?
Akashic. Basically refers to, as far as like my understanding of it, is that it's um, the kind of unconscious history of time. So kind of like our genetic memory, but it's just kind of like there's a kind of like an idea that like history is being kept in a kind of in our memory, like there's a kind of unconscious history that is constantly flowing through us.
The
Um,
genetic library of our times.
yeah,
Oh boy.
exactly.
Have you
Yeah,
guys
so
seen Dark on Netflix? Don't watch
dark.
that.
No,
The German show. Okay. Um, Get ready for some people arguing with you in the comments. That's what I'm
Yeah, well, that's what. Please,
You're about to get argued with.
both show up and argue with us in the comments.
Yeah, it's engagement. Please like this show,
That's
and then you can leave your argument, but you have to like first. That's the rule. So like, and then you can
Also,
argue
don't
about
much
this.
care for Taylor Swift. I said it. No, I think she's fine.
Yeah,
I just immediately backed down from the controversy.
Immediately backed out.
Well, that's going to be the thing that's going to be like, I don't much care for Taylor Swift is going to be the picture on the YouTube thing. And
oh yeah, you're going to do a thumbnail? Oh yeah. Yeah, actually, if you did that, I think that would have, I don't know what would happen. I actually don't know. I think you might get death threats. I think we have to move on.
I thrive on death threats. I eat them for lunch. So,
oh boy,
Joe, why don't you do yours?
Joe.
Well, I have. I'll talk about the item I bought which is just a I got this. It wasn't a proper thrift store, so I feel like I cheated it. But it was an undervalued book at a used bookstore. It's by Herbert Silberer, Hidden Symbolism of Alchemy and the Occult Arts.
Oh wow!
Which I got. It's got all the it's got. It's a Dover book, which is long out of print.
Oh yeah.
Even Dover stopped publishing it, which is weird because they keep everything in. They keep everything in print. But yeah, it's got alchemy, the psychoanalytic interpretation of the parable, the Hermetic art, Rosicrucianism and Freemasonry, the problem of multiple interpretation, introversion and regeneration. Yeah, it's a fun.
What is Rosencrantism like?
Rosencrantz
Rosicrucianism
and Guildensternism.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rosencrantz and Guildensternism. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Our
deadism.
Now the comments
Thomas Stoppard, right?
Yes, Tom Stoppardism. Go.
Tommy Stoppard. Yeah, that's why I called Tommy. Go ahead, Joe.
I've read a little bit about the Rosicrucians in the past. It's like Rosy Cross. It's like a Catholic suborder, but it's more of like a mystic Catholic suborder, sort of along the lines. Yeah, well, along the lines of the Knights of the Templar, in that sort of vein. But I can never remember any specifics about it. So,
but this group doesn't have the Holy Grail in their possession.
They do not.
Okay.
The Rosicrucians, or do they?
Yeah. Or do they?
I was going to say
maybe they took his teacup, Jesus's teacup.
The other thing,
he liked a cuppa. Go ahead, Joe.
The other great thing about this was when I got this, I was at the sort of the sort of new age section of a small town independent used bookstore, and they also had a few books by a local woman who passed away, and it was all crazy. She self-published a bunch of crazy UFO books. And so I was like, yes, please. Ding, 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 ding. I should have brought some of those with, but I can't find them right now.
We'll do UFOs at a different time. We've decided to call this segment, which used to be the discussion, Tales from the Flypt. And the subject is worst eBay experiences that we've ever had. And Joe, would you like to go?
Why? Thank you, Chris. I'd love to. It sort of times in coincides with our. It coincides with our last subject about the sort of the spooky and occult stuff we find, and this one happened to be it was a Ouija planchette from the late 1800s, early 1900s that I found at the consignment shop I have my booth in. Somebody had priced it at $18.
What's a planchette?
That's too old.
Planchette is what you use to you put your fingers on it. Well, you know what the Ouija board is. It has the letters, yes, no, numbers. Yeah. And the planchette is what you put your fingers on to sort of guide it around. And this had a wheel.
Old.
What's that?
That's too old.
1800s, yeah.
Well, not according to the person who bought it, but we'll get to that. It was wooden, had a wooden wheel on it. It was really interesting. And I looked it up online to see what comps were going for, and I was like, "Yep, I'm auctioning this instead of putting a buy it now on." So I auctioned it. It went for something like $1,200, which was probably the best return on investment I ever had. So you'd think that would be a story of triumph. Shipped to a guy in Cleveland, Ohio, who got it. He's like, I don't think this is that old, so I'm going to return it. I was like, all right, go nuts. And I had actually, because I never sold anything for that much money, I was very careful about the packaging. I had it in a small box, which was then in a larger box. It was like double box, very carefully, And then he filed it as an INAD, item not as described, and that's always that's a ding on your metrics, and it really sucked. But I was just like, well, he's lying, but whatever. Maybe he just has buyer's remorse and doesn't want to, it feels bad that he spent $1,800 or $1,200 or however much it was on a Ouija planchette. So I go away to a wedding in Illinois. We get back, we return. It's midnight, 1:00. I get the box. I bring it inside. We go to bed. I get up the next morning and I open it up. And it's like, first of all, it's only the inner box that they sent back. And they taped it all janky, like they had actually kept the box for a very long time. I wish I still had it so I could show. But they didn't use shipping tape. They used some sort of like almost gaffer's tape, but it wasn't very super sticky. And they didn't wrap it around the corner. They just sort of took it to the very edge to sort of make it look like it had been tampered with. And so when I opened it up, it was an empty box. And I was like, my brain exploded. Like this was like 15th or
everyone's worst fear about eBay is that this is the exact thing will happen.
Yeah, like the buyer who's just going to be, and so I contacted eBay. I called them twice. They're like, okay, well, we'll do what we can. Just sort of like got sort of the non-committal. Oh yes, that sounds terrible. And then finally, like, we sided with the buyer. I'm like, oh no. And so I wrote a thing. It's like, I've been with you for 20 years now. I have never had any complaints. I've never done this before. I am furious because I haven't gotten my item back, and it just had to they basically made me fill out an affidavit saying that I got an empty box back, and so that's what I did. And yeah, it also sucked because
you got your money back. Did you?
What's that?
You got most of the money back or no?
Oh, I got the money. I got all the money back. So okay. Thank God. So that was like a good thing, but it just was a rough week for me because I was like, ha ha ha! I made decent money. And then
that's a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
So, what lesson did you learn from this, Joe? Is I think
what lesson?
Yeah, what did you learn from this?
So, I think the thing that I've learned is just like I always have insurance, and I just will, dig my I think the lesson I learned is dig your heels in and don't give up if anything like that happens to you. You know.
That's tragically not the lesson I learned from my story, but
Chris, tell what's your bad story?
Me, a little of me. So my bad story and kind of the inspiration behind this topic was about the week before Thanksgiving. I have people pick up my packages, like the USPS will pick up your packages if you sign up on USPS.com. And have at least one ground advantage or priority mail package. And so I do it regularly, 3 times a week. It was not my normal guy. Picked it up. I talked to him a little bit. He's like, hey, just picking up the packages. I'm like, all right, great. Thank you. And so he took them. And then the next day I'm coming out of the shower and I hear knocking on my door. I'm like, yeah. And he's just like, hey, it's the guy who picked up their packages yesterday. So the truck was robbed and your packages might have been stolen. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do? Like literally just turned off the shower, dripping wet in a very sexy way, like just
like American 10 or
exactly.
whatever.
But it was like, imagine Brad Pitt coming out of the water in the ocean, Pacific Ocean. It's kind of like that, but yeah. No. And leave your comments below. Anyway, if you think I look like Brad Pitt or not. So I check out the thing, and the worst part about it is that usually the USPS guys are supposed to just scan all the packages as soon as they get them, and they did not. So it not only looked as if I had not. It basically looked like I had not shipped them. I basically bought all the postage, and people were like, "Hey, why haven't?" I'm like, but the truck was robbed. I'm trying to deal with this through eBay and the postal inspector. So I called the postal inspector twice. The second time they took a report down, and then I get a call from he's just like, well, give me one of the tracking numbers. So I give him one of the tracking numbers. He's like, all right, I'll have them figure this out. So I was also talking to my regular post office guy who picks up the mail, who I know, and I have a friendly relationship with him. And he was just like, yeah, I heard about the packages. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know. He's like, yeah, people are talking about it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to work it through. Do you have any tips? And he's like, no. Anyway, get a call back from my local post office. And they're just like, they immediately just, it's a 3-minute spiel about how it's probably, they just didn't scan it and it's probably show up at the end. And that always happens. I'm like, I know. Finally, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you here after like 3 or 4 minutes of just nonstop. I'm just like, I'm going to stop you here. The problem is it's not one package, it's 14. And I was also told by 2 different post office people that there was a robbery. And they were like, oh, wow, that's way different. And I'm just like, so can you tell me what is happening? Like, apparently there was a robbery, and if you work here, I imagine you heard about it because it's a small building. And she's like, no, I haven't heard anything about it. And I was just like, you got to be kidding! Like, what's going? Like, she's like, if
This
you
is a
find it,
person from your actual post office,
yeah,
not someone from like
yeah,
the California post. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
or like either I do this thing all over again and get the same result, or I just go, well, all right, I don't know what to do. Um, so I've been just kind of contacting people and refunding their money, and
And
luckily,
taking a loss.
yeah. So here's the lesson that I learned is that you gotta there's a sheet you can print out after if you do bulk eBay. There's a sheet you can print out. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it'll basically show all your packages. They only have to scan it once. If you give it to the postal inspector with your packages, or a post office guy with the packages, they'll scan it only one thing, and it'll scan in all your packages at the same time. Right.
So
Exactly.
this is a nightmare on the bazillion levels because you're
Yeah.
an honest person.
Yeah.
You're trying to just make this money, you get these people the things that they ordered, and
Yeah.
like literally it sounds like either you don't have the items, you never had the items, you're trying to pull a fast one and get money from a bunch of different places. No, this is
Yeah. The best. So why don't you tell us your story, Katie?
no, I'm not following either of those. I don't have any stories like that. I'm not going to follow the packages stolen off the truck. No, I don't have any that are that memorable to be horrible. I've had things come to me that were not what they said they were. I've also had a decent amount of people being upset with condition sometimes, but that's generally me being blind. And this was way back in the day when I first started selling on eBay. Sometimes I can't see stains, I just can't see them. And
Yeah.
so I
Some
remember
things you don't see in certain light, I will
well, you're
say.
just not like once you see it, you absolutely see it. But 2 things were so obvious that it was like, what in the world? How did I look at this item and didn't see this black mark on the back? And these are 2 clothing items that it
Right.
happened to. And it happened within a month of each other. And it happened when I had just sort of stopped working full time to do eBay fully.
Right.
And it was really a bummer. And that really, like, as an eBay seller, that ruins your confidence too, because it was my fault.
Like you kind of get a sense of who is scamming you and who is being honest after a while. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like, well, is this worth the fight? Or because a lot of times I'll just be like, no, I'll take the hit, like just because I don't want to get scammed or don't feel like this is an honest or good faith interaction. But most of the time I'm just like, eh. Why fight? Oh, that's Junior Samples Jr. Who you emails Junior Samples Jr.? Oh, are you on Only Pause?
I am 10 years old. Thank you for writing.
I like wearing silk on my paws. Thank you for asking. I'm a sensual cat. All right, I think, guys, we did it. It's a plus plus gold stars. And, yeah, we're gonna do the our traditional ending.
Yes!
Yes! We did it.
All right, good job, everybody.
Bye. You did it. Like, share,
you.
subscribe. Bye.
Hey, thanks for coming, everybody.
Don't you see the difference in the difference that you make from the cocks that you put to the names that you take? You got ladies and bees all giving you honey, and you whack more balls in the cover of money. You know Melissa Cherry doesn't do porn. To get funky and do the popcorn, eat your paws from China, or so they say.